Season 5 of the Trailer Park Boys had a lot of bad vibes, and that's why I think that the boys have moved in a lot more independent of a direction in season 6. Even Corey and Trevor have gone their own way and have their own store, and Sarah is doing her best to try and keep Ricky and Julian away from them. Bubbles is doing his own thing, trying to get Kittyland off the ground. Julian in jail has been studying real estate. There's this perpetuation by the public, right, that jail is just a breeding ground for more crime. You're just going to learn more ways to break the law. And Julian is a funny take on that because he is taking courses that are meant to make him a better person. For example, learning how to invest in real estate or how to get a job in real estate. It just gives his mind new ways to scam the system and to take advantage of other people within that business. You see this as a running theme throughout the seasons, is that Julian will take his time in jail to read up on something or take a course, and in the following season he will use what he has learned in jail to further commit crime. Julian officially takes on the moniker of Sexian in this season, and it'll hold up for the entire rest of the show. This is also the season with Julian's iconic hockey stick spoiler gifted to him by J-Rock for an absolute steal, a bargain. Ricky showed an amazing amount of independence this season by leaving jail without Julian. He chose to leave a little bit earlier and Julian stayed on. Ricky came out of jail and he's kind of got this more family-oriented view at the start of this season, possibly because he nearly died at the end of last season, so he's maybe thinking about trying to get his life together a little bit more, and for him that means getting his relationship back together with Lucy and spending more time with his kid. However, he's doing a lot of stuff with garbage this season, which makes him smell like shit, so Lucy's not really too interested anymore. He actually ends up sleeping with George, the cop. Lucy gets a lot of hate for being so promiscuous in these early seasons, but I think that a lot of girls go through this when they're younger. I think that it's understandable that Lucy isn't going to want to settle down with like the first guy she's seriously been with, aka Ricky. And I don't think that she's necessarily in the wrong for exploring herself in that way, but she could probably be a bit more honest with Ricky about it. However, she does stipulate at the beginning of the season that she and Ricky are not in a relationship, and Ricky knows that. So who am I to judge if they just want to be in an open relationship or friends with the Benedicts or whatever you want to call it? I think that Lucy, quite stereotypically, like quite cliched kind of way, chills out a bit more and is a lot more ready to settle down with Ricky when she's older. And now that I think about it, that is a little bit of a sexist stereotype, but I'm just going to gloss over that real quick. Let's talk about Lahey. He is broken up with by Randy this season, and after this he goes to the store where Corey and Trevor are working and they insult Randy and he beats them up, and it's like this too little too late thing that Lahey often has going on. He gets into a complacent place in a relationship and feels like he doesn't have to like try anymore, and therefore Randy feels underappreciated and ends up leaving him. And it's at that point where Lahey gets his emotions all stirred up and he starts doing this grand gestures of standing up for Randy when other people take the piss out of him. And this is something that will really be taken to the edge and then over the edge and just so far in the future to a place where I really do not like. But we'll get there when we get there. We think that Lahey is still on the liquor at the beginning of the season, but it actually turns out that he's pretending to be drunk because he knows that the boys are more likely to make mistakes and be sloppy when they think he's drinking. The only person he lets in on this secret is Bob, because obviously Randy leaves him at the beginning of the season, and it actually strengthens his bond with Bob. Obviously, we know that the two of them broke up prior to the first season. Their relationship has been strained, not least because of her disapproval of his relationship with Randy. However, now that that's out of the way, and now that they have this secret between them, the bond grows, and it's now a lot easier for us to see why the two of them might have been attracted to each other in the past. And they actually make a pretty like sweet and wholesome couple in this season, at least. I'm gonna straight up say it right now. I think that this is just another mess season for me. This is one that I don't really think too highly of. Not skippable. I wouldn't say any of the seasons are skippable, in my personal opinion. This is one of the lower tiers, in my opinion. I think that the reason that the whole canon of the series could not go without it is because of the Halloween episode, where when we find out that it was actually the boys' fault that Lahey got fired from the police force in the first place. I don't know how I feel about this decision. It's one of those things where it's fun that Lahey just has had this weird obsession with the boys from the beginning, and we don't really know where it stems from. But now finding out that it really was their fault that he got fired in a way, even though they were just kids, it kind of retroactively absolves Lahey of all the shit that he has done and the obsessive nature of him. It gives him this backstory that kind of almost excuses his behavior in a way. I don't think it excuses him, but you know, it could be interpreted that way, and I don't know how I feel about that. One of my favourite Lahey moments is also in this season. That's why it's also unskippable, is the when he's been doing reconnaissance pretending to be drunk with Julian, and he's like, suspect was belligerent, sexy, and acted like he had something to hide. So silly. I don't know how they ever let him back on the police force, to be honest. Randy, this season, last season, Lahey was in his villain arc, okay, but this season it's Randy's turn, motherfucker. we all know by now that he breaks up with Lahey, and he then goes immediately to Barb's trailer and tells her that he's after Lahey's job as trailer park supervisor. Barb, again, acting like a manipulative bitch, acts like she also believes that Jim is drunk in order to get Randy to take care of some stuff that she wants done around the park that Lahey isn't taking care of because he's pretending to be drunk and doing reconnaissance missions on Julian. Randy's out here trying to take Lahey's job behind his back, and in general, this entire season, he just treats him like shit because he thinks that he's drunk. And even if he's done with that behavior and doesn't want Lahey in his life anymore, that's no reason to treat him like shit for something that is a legitimate addiction and not his fault. Randy has kind of a relationship with one of the cops, Ted, this season, and his secret desire to be on the police force is revealed, and this is the beginning of Randy's power trip arc. He gets a little taste of power in this season, and I guess the way that the story takes it is that it's too much for him and he always craves this power after this, right? We kind of saw in earlier seasons that Randy did want this validation in getting more of a place of power in the park, but that had more to do with his relationship with Lahey, I thought, than anything to do with actually wanting the power, right? But this is the way that the seasons went. We cannot change it now. And again, Flanderization, Randy's whole power trip deal gets taken a lot further in later seasons, but we see the seeds and the beginnings of it here. I don't like Randy's relationship with Ted, and I'm not supposed to. Ted doesn't like Randy for who he is. He won't take Randy to Burger King, which is a federal offense, in my opinion. Like, take your girl to Burger King, bro. And he makes him, like, jog alongside the police cruiser when they're cruising around because fucking basically he wants Randy to lose weight. And he, like, frames it as, oh, I'm improving you as a person, but really it's just, I'm shaping you into the person that I want you to be and a person that I wouldn't be, like, ashamed of being with in the streets, essentially. And that's, we know from previous seasons that that's not what Randy's about, but because of the way that Ted is wording things, he's like manipulating Randy into this space where he's going to do what he wants. Whereas we see, even though it was too little too late from Lahey's fight with Corey and Trevor when they're calling him a fucking cheeseburger walrus or whatever the fuck it is, we see that Lahey doesn't fucking care. He said it in seasons before. He said, listen, Randy, I think you're beautiful. I don't care that you got a big fat gut. Like, rock on, my dude. And that's real true love, bro. And that's why Randy and Ted will never work. Not my OTP, motherfucker. My notable episode from this season is the finale, the climax. I think it's a really good climax, actually, and it really does round out the season really well, and it is probably the most enjoyable episode of the season. It's really, really funny, also, goes without saying. Bubbles has previously drawn up this peace agreement with Lahey where he can't call the cops on the boys anymore so they can get away with their little misdemeanors as much as they want, and we know as an audience that Lahey probably isn't going to uphold this peace agreement, but then Bubbles helps him get back onto the police force, and as a result, Lahey has his purpose back again, and we see that maybe he won't be so obsessed with the boys anymore now that he's got his focus back, and Bubbles was one of the guys who helped him do that. Lahey jumps in to help at the climax, not least because, you know, Randy is also involved. It's in this episode that Barb and Jim reveal that they have kind of rekindled their romance over the course of the season, and they ask Randy to be in a throuple with them. Further evidence to the fact that Barb is this cougar type character and not the mother that everybody thinks she is. In fact, I would argue that Sarah is the mother character that everybody is wanting to have in this series for some reason. Because for some reason we just have to have a mother archetype be in here. The sexism again, it's everywhere. Sarah, to me, is more the mother character because of the way that she is with Corey and Trevor, essentially, especially in this season. Like, she is a little bit commanding of them like dogs in the way that everybody is as a part of the running joke, but she definitely kind of looks out for the boys' best interests. She treats them more like kids than dogs, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Over the course of the series, Randy has been evicting residents who haven't been paying their lot fees because Barb doesn't want to do it because they've been there for a long time and she doesn't want to feel like the bad guy. But Randy, in an attempt to prove himself as new trailer park supervisor, will pretty much do anything she wants. And so she can kind of kill two birds with one stone here. Julian uses his knowledge of real estate that he learned in prison to basically buy all the trailers and sell them back to the people who own them originally. And he profits for himself quite a bit, but all of the residents now see him as a hero because they got their trailers back and they saw it as like being a low price. And like Julian did them a favor when really, realistically, we all know he did it for himself. It was for his own selfish gain, like it always is. Standout funny moment from this climax of the season is when Ricky's using Phil Collins as a fucking shield.
Glasses, look at the goddamn situation here. I have a human house. Go ahead. You can't even fucking shoot me. See that?
I don't even want to shoot you, Ricky. I just want my fucking money.
All right, I'm coming out.
Me too. Don't fucking move.
We got $214 for you.
That's not even fucking close. Randy's dead. That's it.
No.
I think that for me, this season felt a lot like filler for sure. I'm pretty sure that the writers changed after this season, or maybe there was one more season. It definitely feels like the original writers, you know, they're kind of running out of ideas. Just not as impactful as the other seasons have been. It doesn't have as much of an identity, really. And like I said, I do enjoy the climax, but it's the weakest so far. My favourite episode in this season is episode 4, the one where Rick goes to extreme lengths to rescue Trinity's chicken so that she can pass her grade at school. Nobody believes that he can do it, and Ricky finds this fucking chicken. And I want everybody to appreciate that for a second, okay? Lucy does appreciate this, and even though she did Ricky dirty earlier in the episode by pretending that Julian was Trinity's dad, because she obviously thought that Julian would make a better impression with teachers because he cleans up better and he isn't a fucking idiot, etc, etc. And also possibly is Trinity's father, but we're not going to get into that, bro. I can't even be bothered talking about that. I'm not going to mention that again for this entire series watch. And Lucy is very impressed with what Ricky does. She appreciates it. And I love that. I love, you know, their relationship. I love a Ricky and Lucy win, and I always will, no matter how we get there. This is a standout Trevor episode, okay? For some reason, Trevor randomly gets a brain during a moment of this episode when they're trying to get Lahey out of the trailer, and he says,
Mr. Lahey, Julian's out here lifting weights with his shirt off and wants you to come and have a drink with him.
What's that, Trevor?
Go get him.
Shit! Young boys.
Honestly, I just don't have a lot to say about this season either. We're skipping by them quite quick. We are speedrunning the seasons right now, but I promise I have a lot more to say about the upcoming seasons. They are some of my more liked ones, or ones where I think the character development went whoosh, okay? So bear with me here, guys. We're doing it. We are doing it slowly, but we are doing it. All right? See you next time.